Hello, everyone. Welcome to Canadian College Talks. Today, we are going to talk about a challenging topic for education around the world: critical thinking in the age of AI. AI is no longer a future concept, it is a reality that is present in our classrooms. Today, we won't focus in if we should or shouldn't use these tools. Instead, we're going to talk about how to use them strategically to foster critical thinking among our students. It is an honor to welcome Claire Ross, who is our guest expert, Cambridge University Press representative, and she has experience in education and innovation. She will help us reflect about our roles as teachers in a world with AI. Claire, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
This conversation will be also led by some of our outstanding facilitators from Canadian College. Representing the academic community, we have here Andrés Macías, Heidi Martinez, Sara Murillo, and I, Mariana, who will be guiding the conversation as well. So, Sara, would you like to start us off with the first question?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks again, Claire, for being in this space. Let's start with the first question, yeah? Well, as a teacher, I have noticed a significant shift between the learning strategies. Maybe before, education used to be more about trial and error, brainstorming ideas. But these days, lots of students and even teachers are relying on AI, yeah? So the question is it possible to envision a learning environment without the use of AI? And how can you think we can balance that part?
Yeah, I mean, good question. Listen, you said in your introduction, we're not talking now about whether we should be using it or not, or whether our students should be or not, because we all are, right? Whether it's in our day-to-day lives or in education. So, I mean, this is the world and the classroom is a part of that world. So let's be realistic. This is already in our classrooms, whether we are actively including it in our lessons, whether we're using it as a tool in our teaching, whether we're online, we have it on our phone in lessons, or we're planning it, or it's happening now already. So the door is open and the cat is out. So no, I don't think this is now and this is the future. So we need to think about what we do, but can I imagine a future without it? No. I mean, the tech is evolving and I think it will continue. And as teachers, I think we need to not keep up, but keep informed and understand what is available as a tool for teaching and learning. I think sometimes we can feel overwhelmed as teachers by this. But we need to remember that this is not replacing everything that we have already, right? Let's not forget we're qualified teachers. We've still got brains. And, we mentioned critical thinking skills. So this is a new tool. It's a reality. We can use it. We need to know what we're using and we need to think about how to use it ethically and with pedagogical intent. But it's here to stay. So, yeah, the second bit of that, was how do we balance it? Yeah, I think that's a very personal choice. I think as teachers, as I said, we need to understand a little bit what AI can do and what it can't do. And as a teacher and the job that we have to do, I think we need to know that we are still very important and we will be in the future as well. So I'm sure you're already using AI to help you with your planning, right? Because everything. Gone are the days when you go to the library to plan your lesson, right? And you go and think, okay, I'm going to teach this grammar tense, right? I need an activity. I'm quite old, so I went to the school library, looked in a book, found an activity, photocopied it. Don't need to do that anymore. So you can find that online. You can create it and you can tailor that. Done. So that's wonderful. And that saves us time. And why is that good? because that gives us more time to do the things that the tech can't do. That's what I think is important. So the tech is there, let it take away some of the stuff that is not so smart. Let us do the smart stuff. Yeah. Let us do the human stuff. So the tech can create an activity, but it doesn't know if it's going to work with your students, only you know that. So you can look at that and go, okay, yes, it practices that vocabulary, but actually I need it like this, so I'm going to change it a little bit. But it's taking away, I don't want to say, it's not mindless work, but it's taking away some of the time we would spend on preparation, and it's giving us more time to actually teach and interact with our students and to spend time in class talking to them, listening, giving feedback. This is teaching, right? To me, teaching is not having the perfect material for that lesson. That's a bonus. And if we can have that very quickly because we can generate it on, ChatGPT or whatever, wonderful. But we still, we need to do the important parts of our job still. So that to me is where the balance is. Let it do the stuff that's taking our time and let us do the important stuff of treating people as people and remembering that we're teaching humans to communicate. That's our job. And let us spend time doing that. That's where I think we need to get the balance.
Perfect.
That was a long answer.
No, it's okay. You're the star.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned, AI arrived and is here to stay, right? And also you mentioned that we can control what we want AI to do. However, we as teachers, we can be a little bit more critical in that way. But new generations or, children, especially teenagers as well, they tend to overuse AI. So they know that they can control, but they rely too much. So how can we effectively promote the use of AI in those generations?
Yeah. What kind of things are your students doing with AI?
Well, sometimes...
When you say too much,
for example, when we are doing activities... Yeah. In virtual classes, what they do is copy and paste the same test, and it's really evident. So that's why I say that they rely too much. They just don't control AI. Well, they control it totally, but they don't give the chance to having themselves control AI. I don't know if I am being understandable.
Yes. So what you're saying there is they're letting AI do it all.
Exactly. So they just copy and paste, and look on the chat in the chat of Zoom. They send the test, and that's it. Teacher, this is the activity.
Yeah. The result. And what do you do?
I would like to contribute into that question. And do you think that as teachers, we should assume a role of a police officer who is banning technologies being used in the classroom, artificial intelligence being used in the classroom? Or how can we be a model so we elicit students think by themselves instead of relying too much on these tools?
It's not for me to tell you what your institutional AI policy should be. Let me be very clear on that. That's an institutional level. But we need to be aware of what students are doing. This is why I'm asking. It's good to have an example. And we need to help them think smart and to understand where it could be helpful and to show them where that could be helpful. And this needs to be appropriate to age as well. Because certainly if you're teaching kids, you have a responsibility. And we need to talk to parents about this as well. And make sure they're on board with whatever we're doing. And we're not suggesting, kids go mad and use it for everything. No, but, should we police it and block everything? I don't think so, but you need to find what's right for your institution. And as a teacher, you need to have a line in your classroom. So I think that's important. But listen, this is digital literacy. It's not something that kids just have, even if they're born in this day and age. We still need to educate and help children understand, what is useful, also what is ethical use, what is legal use of this tool. We need to have some guidelines. I'm going to signpost you here as well to Cambridge which has on their insights page, because obviously they're doing a lot of research in this area, as is every business in the entire world, right? This is changing everything. So Cambridge is investing a lot into this because it's changing teaching, it's changing learning, it's changing assessment. So you can find on the Cambridge Insights page all about AI in English language teaching. It's a great place to go to find curated research about our field. Because the problem is, we want to know, we feel like we need to be updated, but now all the research is coming out. So like 2 years ago, there was nothing. You could kind of count the number of studies about the impact of generative AI on English language teaching and learning. Now it's exploded, and now it's almost too much for us, right? But don't worry, use Cambridge for that. They are curating it for us, and on there you'll find summaries, you'll find guides, you'll find the research if you want to go deep into it. But what you'll also see there, they have an ideas pack for English language teachers. I don't know if you've seen that. Okay, that's a lovely pack with classroom activities for kids, for teenagers, for adults, that you can use, and again, in different ways. So it might be that, we said it's in our classroom anyway, we need to be talking about it. So perhaps as a teacher, the way you choose to discuss it is as a topic. So you might say, we're going to do a speaking activity and a critical thinking activity today. Maybe we're not using AI, but we're talking about it. That's the topic.
Okay.
And you might focus on something like image generation, right? So maybe you show them an image, or you ask them, this is one of the activities from the pack. So you ask them, okay, you know that you can generate images on using artificial intelligence, and what do you think about that? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? How does the AI do that? Like, do you know how it generates the images? And you can talk about things like ownership of art and, going as deep as you want to. And then say something like, okay, if we asked AI to generate an image of Colombian people, what would you expect to see? Okay, now you don't have to answer that.
That's kind of interesting, because I remember I was observing another colleague's class, and he was actually discussing about that.
Right.
How there are some biases that even AI has, and when you're asking these kind of prompts, very general prompts, they will generate a stereotype, yeah?
I mean, I can guarantee it will, because, and
that could be actually problematic, because if you think about kids, like their first source of information could be an AI, Back in our times, we had Google, and we had real images, but now we have an AI that is producing like some sort of biased content, which is the first glance that people have of pieces of information of people. So I find it interesting how can we find strategies to avoid that, to make especially kids identify what's real, what's not real, what is biased, what are the interests of people behind the AI, and how can we foster that during our classes?
Well, I'm very happy to talk about that, because I absolutely agree. And you can do this as a classroom activity. So ask them what they think they'll see, and then show them the image that's generated. Now there will be a stereotype, and then that's a basis that we talk about it and say, is this reality?
Critical thinking.
And they'll go, well, no. And say, do you feel represented in this image? No, I don't. Okay, what would you like to see and hear? So now we've got a speaking class, we've got some critical thinking. We're developing life skills, which is digital awareness. And that's how, we can't just tell kids or adults or anyone, we can't just say, this is a problem that we have to show. We have to, talk about it. Also, we don't have all the answers. We're all learning together. I'm learning. But I think that's one way to do it. And then that's where you learn about the problem of image generation and stereotypes and bias. So again, it's good to use a personal or, a local problem or question, and then see what AI says about that, and then critically examine that and say, is that truth? And this is where, we're learning that, okay, we need to get there at the beginning and the end of this process. There's a nice image I found of like the Chat GPT sandwich. So you've got the bread, that's us, or anyone, putting the prompt in. Then you've got Chat GPT doing its thing, just finding information from the internet, repackaging it, not the internet, sorry, from its the data it's been fed, repackaging it and throwing it out. But then we've got the top of the sandwich, right? That's us. So we need to be there at the beginning and the end.
Exactly.
We need to be critically examining it. But it's activities like this where we help students to see that. And that's a thing for kids, but it's interesting to do with adults as well and have that conversation. That's not, I'm using ChatGPT in my classroom. You can if you want to. You don't have to do that, but I think we should be talking about it.
Yeah, of course. I've been experienced like in different classes where the adults feel a little bit overwhelmed or afraid of AI,
Yeah.
and how can we motivate them to use it like as a tool or as their benefit in this language learning process? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I think it's, in the end, that's a very personal choice for them. What we can do is to tell them what we know about how it might help with language learning. And I think a good way to do that is to talk about your own experience. So have you used ChatGPT to check your English, for example, or to ask a question about English or another language that you're learning? Have you used it to improve an email that you've written or just double check it? I'm a language learner, right? I'm studying, I can't really say I'm studying, but I'm trying to learn Greek because where I live, it's the official language. But I have a problem in that I don't have confidence in speaking. So I'm like your beginner students or your low-level students, I'm shy and I'm afraid to say things. So what I'll do is go to ChatGPT and I know I can use the voice tool and say things and ask them if I've said it right. So I like to use it as kind of a practice confidence. I'm aware that what it tells me might not be 100% right, but I know for me it's better than talking on my own.
Exactly. You're using feedback.
It's feedback. Now we need to be critical about it. It's not a teacher. But it's something. And there is some research, again, that's come out this year, and I'm talking about one of these huge, like multi-country studies now that we're getting, and it's about language learning and teaching. And it's showing that there has been a huge positive impact on language learning, and that many students who are using it are benefiting from it, because we never had this before, right? We never had anyone to check. And okay, it's not right all the time, but it's everyone in this room and everyone in there is using this in their day-to-day life to help them with language, because it's a large language model. So there are benefits, but coming back to, sorry, I'm talking a lot. Coming back to what you're saying, we need to show them there are options. So one thing, okay, he's using it for speaking, a speaking tool, a role play partner, say. And maybe you do that in class and say, let's find out together. I know this much, but let's try out some things. And then let's think together with your adult class critically about how useful that is. And as a teacher, I think you can give your own perspective in terms of how you think this is valuable in terms of pedagogy. So speaking is one way. Finding out about language, asking questions about language. That's another one. I'm not sure about that one myself. I would rather go to an online dictionary, and I'd rather go to a reputable language source to get answers about language. But students do that. So I think that's worth doing. And again, you can do that as a class or give them homework if you want. And see, you try it out, come back, let's talk about it. What did you find? And what conclusions can you draw from that? So I don't think we should be the ones telling, I'm talking about adult students there, telling them how to use it, but we can help them to see how it can be used and how it can help them. Now let's talk about writing, because again, from the study that I'm talking about, that I don't know, I'll give you the link later. You can put it in the show notes. there's a huge impact, a positive impact on writing skills.
Yeah.
But what we want to avoid is what you were saying before, is in your online class and the kids are copy pasting into the chat, and you're like, I know it's you because it's got that long dash, and you don't get that anywhere else, right? Yeah, and it's in bold and it's in bullet points. But it's no good just saying, don't do it like that.
Exactly, we have to just and say to them like how they are going to use it, like as a benefit, of course, because it's so important, and I could say that and it's like we have at the same time the kids, that the adults, they feel a little bit overwhelmed, like a little bit afraid of that kind of artificial intelligence, and we can show it. But at the same time, we have the kids, that they use it day by day, and it's too much, and how we can try to just give them some tips on how they can use and try to promote a little bit the critical thinking with them. What do you think? How we can try to just not try to find a balance, because it's something pretty hard, but it is a little bit more how we can, on the other hand, teach them to the kids that they just have to use it in specific spaces that we have in the class. But I just can take some part of that you were saying, that it's just teamwork, that we can do it with the kids. But maybe they have other kind of tips that can help us to try to use it with that kind of classes that we have even online with them.
Yeah, I think it's no good just telling them do that and don't do that. We need to show them.
Yeah.
So I think, it's not just a one-off lesson on AI. Let's be clear. This is part of life. So this is a conversation that we should be having with learners on an ongoing basis, I think. So when there's times in class when there's a writing activity, then why not say, okay, we're going to use AI for this. We're going to do some brainstorming. We're going to think of some ideas for this story, and then we're going to see what AI thinks.
Yeah.
And then we can compare. And actually then what's happening there, we're using it as a source of information, but we're thinking critically about the results. But we need to do this, and we need to talk learners through it, rather than saying, do it like that, don't do it like that. I think, if we know learners are naturally just getting AI to do everything, we need to show them how it can help them with writing, but not do it for them. And we need to show them why that is useful for their future language learning. We need to give some examples of, the consequences of doing that. What are the consequences if you don't develop those writing skills? Let's look further down the line. And we need to you'll do this in a smart way with your students, right? We're not being like the police, like you said before. But let's think about the consequences. Use, a situation. There you go. Use your chat GPT, other chatbots are available, to help you with a text, a lesson plan, a situation of a boy who did this, what happened to him. It can be a moral story, right? And then that helps you to talk about, okay, if we don't have these skills, let's think about what if this happens in the future? What if I've got to do this Cambridge exam and there's writing? And I need to prove my level of English, but actually my level of English is only okay when I've got, my virtual friend. Let's look at a business situation like this. I mean, I believe we're all using our knowledge and our ideas now. We're also listening and thinking critically. So, we need to think about situations when you don't have this support. I've lost my thread a little bit, but I think we need to give examples of how to do it and how not to do it. We're talking about writing, so, if they're doing a piece of writing, take one of the students' drafts, or you take a draft that you've done yourself. We can put this into a chatbot and show them how to write a prompt that is going to help them develop a skill.
True.
Not just improve my writing, or make it better, or correct the mistakes. That's not helpful. It's only helpful in terms of there's a good piece of writing. But you need to say to your students, I'm actually not interested in perfect writing. I'm interested in mistakes. I can help you. And if you want to use AI to help you, then you need to ask it specific things. So, for example, I want you to highlight any mistakes with past tenses in my story. So please correct the mistakes and then explain the problems. And do this in simple English, I am A2. So you've got a really specific prompt, but you're doing this in class, right? Also, you don't need to prepare that because you're learning together. Let's just see what happens, right? So then you've got your situation. ChatGPT's done your writing for you. How has that helped you? Have a discussion about it. You've done it by yourself without any help. How has that helped you? And there's a lot to be said for that. And then ChatGPT has done some correction because you've given it that prompt and you have asked for an explanation. How has that helped you? And then you have more critical thinking to think about. Then you have different scenarios. And I would say for your older learners, they very easily will, go, yeah, obviously. But for younger learners, that's a discovery approach.
Yeah.
And then when you bring in your experience where you were talking about consequences for the future, I think then we're making it real. So tips, I think I'm not really interested in tips, but more like an activity and a discussion with students, and you help them to see, because they won't listen to you otherwise. They've got to see it for themselves, I think.
The evidence there.
Yes, exactly. This is how we learn. Yeah. We don't learn from people telling us the world is like this. We have to experience it.
Exactly.
But remember, there's an age limit on AI. I think it's 12. Check I believe ChatGPT shouldn't.
I don't know if they have included like the biometric verification as some social media have done. I don't think so.
No, they haven't. So be careful.
Yeah. Actually, you got me thinking when you were mentioning like this use of these chat models for practicing speaking. Yeah, obviously we use it for practicing writing, corrections, and all that stuff. However, I was thinking it's not a huge thing nowadays, but as AIs are evolving, I was thinking in the psychological, parasocial implications of practicing all day with an AI, which is something that many people have to do because they don't have like a person to practice with. Yeah, and actually I encourage students to use AI to practice like autonomously. However, I don't know what could be the implications, especially when you're practicing a new language. I know that there are some psychological implications, like people like using ChatGPT as a psychologist. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know
yes.
What could happen in this sector? Well, like the only person that you are practicing with is a machine, is your phone. Yeah.
Yeah. I share your concerns. I share them. Yeah, absolutely. ChatGPT is not human.
Exactly.
And so like I was saying that before, it's not a person, but it's something. There's no paralinguistic features. There's no facial expression. We don't know. You can't learn a lot about tone and intent from a bot. So I agree with you. Let's not go there. Like we still need to teach our students to interact with human people.
But well, my concern rises from the fact that it's evolving, right? And actually there are some features that you can even set ChatGPT to have specific dialects or accents, feel in certain mood, talk happily, talk seriously, yeah? So it's becoming a thing that is closer to a human, and for some people can feel more like a human than actual people around them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm worried about that. Yeah,
Well,
I'm worried about that. But listen, don't tell your students to go and talk to ChatGPT like it's a human. Be realistic. Be very specific about what you might do and give them an activity to do. So, okay, you're going to do a role play and practice the language from today's class, for example, or give it as an option. You're the customer. Tell them that they are a person in a shop. You could do it in class. You can speak into the voice tool and see what happens, and then talk about it critically. That's important. So if we're talking about ways to use it, we've talked about activities for writing. You can do an activity like that with the speaking. we're not saying go and use it and make friends and be free, because you're right. I'm terrified about this in the future. And what if people, they really go to an extreme and then, we lose all our social skills? Let's not be part of that movement. Let's be the smart teachers who are seeing what's the affordance and being very aware of limitations and implications. I mean, I have a lot to say about ethics and the environment as well. But anyway,
so through education, we can actually do things. We can avoid those things like happen, in the future. Through education. I
mean, I think we have a responsibility, but also it's not only on us as teachers. It's on everyone. It's on the tech people. It's on parents. It's on businesses. But we're part of it, I think. And as teachers, especially of children, we have more of a responsibility. Yes. But remember that there are positive, I feel the conversation goes like this because there are so many opportunities, but let's just keep it real as well, right? Let's not go, we don't want to be an extremist. Let's remember it's a tool. We've not really talked about other tools today, but I mean, let's not forget them all, right? Simulation and role play and feedback and helping our learners, set goals in their language. And they can do this in many ways, and in class and outside class. And they don't need to use an AI outside of class just because there's no teacher there. They can do things by themselves or on the internet or using, a non-generative AI. Let's talk about that. So maybe the Cambridge Write and Improve tool website, Cambridge Write and Improve. Click the link. So this has been around for years, and this is AI, but it's not generative, but it is research-based and driven, and it is English language teaching based and grounded in methodology. And on there, your students and you can choose a writing task, choose a level, choose a genre of writing, and then write, and then submit, and then get feedback. Okay. So the feedback's not coming from the whole world of everything of data that this large language model ChatGPT has. Actually, this feedback is coming from research-driven language teaching methodology. I would like to go there as a student. If I had that in Greek and my writing was good, I'd go there. But that's where I'd be sending my students. So we have a very good alternative there. I think it's better. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't used it, try that. But also don't just say, here's a tool, you've got to show your students how to do it. Give them to do it in class. Look at the results. I mean, it's very clear. It's very clear. It will highlight English points and then give suggestions, and then you have a chance to do it again. And then you get more feedback. That's useful. That's something I can get behind that. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm very comfortable with that. So I think that's a great tool to suggest to students. And then also that's free. And then you can set homework on there, or students can just do whatever they want. It's quite, what's the word? Addictive, kind of, because you're getting feedback. And that's what we want on our language. We want to know we're doing it right. Yeah. Well, they can spend, all their time on Cambridge Write and Improve. And we can trust that. We can trust that. That's the important thing, because, we know that's real. It's based on research. Yeah. ChatGPT, it's not an ELT tool. It's everything.
Claire, every time a technological advancement appears, it comes with the promise that it will make life easier and it will take effort away from us. What would you say to people who are assuming that they won't need to learn any second languages anymore due to these technological advancements? Because maybe they rely that technology is going to solve the things for them. What would you say to them?
I'd say I don't believe that is true. I think it's giving us, it's making things easier. But I think in the future we'll still have people and we'll still need to communicate with them. That's my belief. You know, I think we will still need to interpret other people's emotions, beliefs, and feelings, because we're human and we're social. We need relationships, and the tools, the tech, is going to help us do different things. But we still, you know, we evolved to learn language. We're not going to de-evolve. Language is what makes us human, right? So I've really gone very deep there, but I really think that, you know, I really don't believe it's going to stop communication or do everything for us. So I would say, no, I think keep doing your English class. Keep learning and keep, you know, using your brain. Watch out. Don't let your brain get lazy, because you might have a problem in the future, you know. This is an opportunity for us to really develop critical thinking. I think we've talked about that for a long time, but it's been a bit of a theory and a bit of a nice thing to do. And it's like, yeah, critical thinking is it's really important. But now, wow, critical thinking, it's just so essential. So I think it's a huge reminder for us now. We're not talking about should we be teaching critical thinking skills. We're saying, let's talk about this, because that your example there is just exactly that. We need to develop those skills so learners can see that for themselves, I think.
I was thinking something similar about that. And well, I had ideas like mix between what you say about the tools that Cambridge is providing and what Mariana was asking. And I would like to ask you, how would you define the role of effort when learning a second language, yeah? Because there is this discussion like, well, as technology, as tools are evolving, they are making our life easier. But well, what does it mean that? Like making our life easier is doing less, or just creating a new process or changing procedures? And well, something that got me thinking with the tools of Cambridge is like, there is a balance, yeah? I always try to share balance with tools with my students, yeah? Like the dictionary. Obviously, you have a virtual dictionary that's completely different to a book, a physical book. But well, that's making our lives easier. Is that like, I don't know, hindering the process of having a book in your hands and reading it? Or is it beneficial, right? So yes, we are putting less effort in that. But well, is that something bad? How would you define the role of effort in this kind of processes? And well, is technology, by diminishing effort, something necessarily bad?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think you get anything without effort that's worth having. Bottom line. You can go to brain science and you can look into learning strategies and look at the research on that, for example. So, you know, the research says cognitive engagement helps you to retain information and make connections, right? So if you think about things like revision strategies, the research says that, you know, okay, people have different learning preferences, yes, but the research says if you're studying for an exam and you read your notes, you'll remember some. But if you try to remember your notes and then look at them to check, you're more likely to recall, remember, and learn. So I would go there and say, okay, well, I want this to work just in case there's a power out. Right? I mean, that's extreme, but we need effort to learn. Well, there's no injection that's going to put language in us. And also, language is negotiation. The reason we're even saying, is this tool okay, is because it's not, we can't have a perfect language tool because it's about a relationship between people. And, you know, going back to the humanity there. So, yes, I think effort is essential. And we don't get anything for nothing, basically. So things are easier and parts of our lives are easier. Look at life 50 years ago. Okay, we make a lot less effort in certain areas, but we still need to put effort into communication, because if we don't, and we don't put effort into language and cultural awareness and communication, that's where we can have enormous problems. I mean, look at global politics. I'm not going to go there, but how important is communication and what you say and what you write and what's on the internet and then can be used against you. So you need to be very sure and take ownership of that, I think. And I think that requires effort. But that's not easy to communicate to people. I mean, it's not, and there's no easy answers here, because I know this is the world, and kids are like, yeah, I'm going to be a content creator because it's easy money and I can get brands. So this is a mindset. But I mean, look at Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset. This is where we need to be working, and with our day-to-day work as teachers. I'm not even talking about AI. I'm talking about how we help learners feel they're learning and help them to see their progress. And we can show them they're doing that without the tools, without the tech, and help them to believe that, reward effort rather than rewarding attainment and perfection. Because that's why students are doing it sometimes. It's not just, it's not just, so lazy, okay, I can do it like this. But also they want to please you and they want to be right and they're afraid of being wrong. So I think that's also, it's making me think it's not about punishing that instinct, but understanding where does it come from. And that's all kinds of things. It could be fear of failure or pressure from family or, needing this level to get into university. There's a lot behind that. So I think we need to help them see that they can do it. It takes some effort, and I'm going to help you with some, learning strategies. And you do need to memorize some spelling, some new words, and we do need to practice, because otherwise, it won't go in.
Yeah, I'm trying to do those things with a student that I have. It is that when I ask a question, the student reacts like, teacher, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't even try. And he goes immediately to ChatGPT and say, hey, let's not do that. I mean, you can use ChatGPT in other ways, but you can ask ChatGPT to create a weekly schedule of new vocabulary. So you're according to your contest, your office, for example, your house, and so on and so forth. Or let's have ChatGPT not as a teacher maybe, but as a friend that can help you in the process. For you to interact with the tool, but not forgetting that everything comes with effort.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, ChatGPT without effort is that the output is useless, because then you don't get what you want. So we have to think critically about the results. Yeah, I mean, that's a great example.
There's a dilemma that I have, especially with the topic of memorization, right? I always have the dilemma. Okay, guys, so look at these. Past tense is super easy. Just talk about your holidays, yeah? However, you have to memorize irregular verbs, So how can we effectively encourage students to make an effort, without demonizing it, Because nowadays, like concepts as memorization, as making a lot of effort to learn, something that is actually demonized in language learning, actually, and it's something that is commercialized, like you don't have to memorize no grammar in this English course, But actually, we know that it's necessary. However, the way that we present it is also something important. So how can we effectively do that presentation and that encouragement of making an effort of memorizing when it's necessary?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's about our own teaching approaches, and also it's giving learners ways to help them remember, and giving them activities, doing like retrieval practice in class, and I mean prompting memory, prompting recall, and this is fun stuff like doing games and quizzes and giving them homework that involves that, because if you gamify that, and they can do that on an app, they will learn that way, and actually that is promoted. Repetition is memorization. It's not just sitting with a book and writing it down. That's one way, but I mean there's different ways to do that. So we can use the tech to our advantage. I'm not talking AI, and make it fun. Because when I think memorization, my heart kind of falls into my stomach, but I know I need to. I tried to learn Spanish, so I had to learn the conjugations, and because otherwise, disaster happens. So I think we need to give activities, We need to recycle in our classroom as well, lots. So we need to be realistic about how much happens outside, but we need to give learners follow-up work where they'll be doing that, but make it fun. Like make it a game, make it, see how much you remember, test yourself, write, then compare, those kinds of things. And I think because those require effort. They do. It's just a different kind of effort.
Yeah. Like even to give instructions to ChatGPT, you need effort, to create a prompt.
You do.
Yeah.
And playing a game where you try to guess, the missing word, it requires effort. Mm-hmm. It's just a different kind of effort. So it's just, changing the way you approach it. And maybe you don't say the word memorization. I don't know. I don't know. Well, we need to also address it in another way. And we give learners lots of opportunity to practice, because that's where memorization comes from. So we might, memorizing grammar. Okay, personally, I wouldn't say do that. But I do lots of practice and teach this in chunks and teach in a communicative way and help the learners to remember the sentence and give them pronunciation practice, and then do multiple different tasks, writing, listening, projects where they're recycling that. And in the end, they don't know. They've actually, now they know it, but they didn't have to sit down and memorize, perhaps. So, I think don't worry about that as well, because you are doing that. You are helping. Let's not forget all the good things we're doing already. Yeah. Because all the good things about teaching and learning and the relationship you have with your students, they're never going. That's the gold. The people are the most important thing in teaching.
Definitely. I think we learned a lot from this session. And if we could draw a conclusion here, is that teachers don't necessarily compete with these technologies, with artificial intelligences, but we can shape how it is used, how we use the artificial intelligence. Thank you, Claire, for your insights, and to our teacher representatives for your thoughtful questions, and to our Canadian college community. Let's continue designing classes where thinking, curiosity, and creativity are at the center of the class.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, excellent. Sounds great. Wow.